In today's video, I'm going to share the 10 best ways to make money as a solo player in GTA 5 Online. Now let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with number 10. Number 10 is the bunker. The way the business works is you first either steal or buy supplies for the bunker. Over time, workers at the bunker will turn those supplies into product, which you can then sell on for a profit. Now in order to make the most amount of money possible with the bunker, you will need to have the equipment and staff upgrade. You can then purchase supplies for $75,000. Once you do that, it will take about 2.5 hours to turn that $75,000 worth of supplies into $210,000 worth of product. As a solo player, it's best to sell after that one round of supplies turns into product, because for that sell mission you will always be guaranteed one sell vehicle. If you let the product build any more than that, you will most likely have more sell vehicles, and sometimes completing the sell mission will not be possible. Now of course, if you were to sell at $210,000 and you spent $75,000 purchasing supplies, that means that you made $135,000 in profit in about 2.5 hours, meaning that you're making about $54,000 per hour from this business. That is decent money, but in comparison to how much you can make with these other money methods, it's not that much, so that's why it's number 10 on the list. Coming in at the number 9 spot is the CEO special cargo business. The way it works is you have a cargo crate warehouse. Once you have that, you're then able to do source missions where you either steal 1, 2 or 3 crates. You bring them back to the warehouse and then you can sell them on for a profit. In order to run the business, you will need a CEO office and of course get a separate warehouse. You can own up to 3 warehouses and there's 3 different sizes that you can purchase: small, medium and large. Depending on the size, it will dictate how many crates you can hold in each, and of course the price per warehouse will increase the bigger it is. Now to make the most amount of money with the business, you will want to always source 3 crates at a time. Sometimes it will give you 1 vehicle, sometimes you will have to pick up all 3 individually, but that is the most efficient way to do it. Now when it comes to selling the crates, depending on how many crates you are selling at a time, it will dictate how many sell vehicles you have, but as a solo player you are able to complete a sell mission with 3 vehicles. I always recommend selling your cargo warehouse when it's completely full, because when your warehouse is full you will receive the most amount of money per cargo crate versus if you were to sell less crates. Now if you run the business really efficiently and you do the source missions quickly, you can make a few $100,000 per hour, which is great money, but of course it's not the best money method out there. At the number 8 spot we have the other CEO business in the game, which is vehicle cargo. This one is very similar to the special cargo business, except this time instead of stealing crates you are stealing luxury vehicles, which you can then bring back to the warehouse. You will then modify them and from there you can sell the cars for a profit. Once again, you will need to own a CEO office and a vehicle cargo warehouse to run the business. Once you have got that, you are ready to go. Now like I said, the way the business works is we are stealing luxury cars to sell for a profit, but there are 3 different tiers of luxury cars you can source. When you run a source mission, there are standard, mid-range and top-range cars, with of course top-range paying out the most and being the one that you want to source the most often. Now in order to make the most amount of money with this business, you are going to want to only sell top-range cars. Once you get more and more standard and mid-range cars and you don't sell them, you will have a higher chance of getting a top-range car. When you go to sell them, make sure you sell them for the most amount possible. There are 3 different options to sell. Selling to the specialist buyer will require you to mod the vehicle and pay $20,000, but you are making the most amount of money, so it's completely worth it. With that being said, if you go and sell a top-range vehicle for the most amount of money possible, which is $100,000, and you end up paying $20,000 to mod it, that means that you could net out $80,000 for one top-range vehicle. Now you can roughly do this every 20 to 25 minutes, so you can sell about 3 cars per hour, making you $240,000, but there's one catch, and that is because we are dealing with luxury vehicles. If you happen to crash it or take any damages while sourcing the vehicle or selling the vehicle, those will be deducted from your total. So in order to make the most amount of money possible, you will have to be as careful as you can when driving the car. So $240,000 per hour is a decent chunk of money, but if you want to take it one step further, you can sell the car in a public lobby with 25 or more players. That will give you a 50% high demand bonus, meaning that you could then sell the car for $150,000, netting $130k. If you do that 3 times per hour, that's $390,000, and because the sell missions are pretty simple, where you're just driving to a buyer on the other side of the map, earning that $390,000 isn't that far-fetched, which is why it's in the top 10 list, but the reason why it's at number 8 is because you have to do so many sell missions. During your source and sell missions, you could have money deducted from your profit, simply by running into another car or actually another car running into you. So it's a great way to make money, but the amount of money you could make varies, which is why it's lower on the list. Coming in at number 7 is the asset lab. The way the business works is you either steal or purchase supplies. supplies. You bring them back to the lab, and then after some time those supplies are turned into product, which you can then sell on for a profit. In order to purchase the acid lab, you will first have to do the first dose mission storyline. There are 6 missions in total. Once you have done that, you could then purchase the business for $750,000. Now in order to make the most amount of money with the business, you will have to get the equipment upgraded for $250,000. But first you will have to unlock it. The way to do that is to do 10 Fooligan missions. You can start them if you go to Dex inside the freak shop or call him and request a Fooligan mission. Unfortunately, there is a cooldown timer of 48 minutes between these Fooligan missions. Once you have done that, you can then call up Mod or talk to him at the acid lab. Purchase supplies for $60,000, and after 1.6 batches of supplies you will have a fully stocked acid lab, which you could then sell on for $335,000. If you decide to do that, you will be making about $60,000 to $70,000 per hour in profit, but if you want to make some extra money, you can sell in a public lobby. If it's a session with 25 or more players, that will give you a 50% high demand bonus. I believe that every player gives a 2% bonus and it's capped at 50%, which means that the highest bonus is in a 25 players public lobby. To get another 5% bonus, you will need to rename your asset lab. You can do that via your interaction menu. That will bring it up to $500,000 as your final sale, and this is completely doable because you're only ever guaranteed one sell vehicle. If you choose to go that road, you will be making $100,000 per hour. That's the way I suggest to do it, and that is the reason why it's in the number 7 spot. It's a fairly passive business and it earns you about $100,000 per hour, which is really good. In the number 6 spot we have Payphone Hits. These are simply assassination missions where you have one or multiple targets to take out. To unlock Payphone Hits, you will need to have the agency and then complete 3 security contracts. Once that's done, you can call Franklin at any time and request one. If you take the targets out while completing a specific bonus, you will earn $85,000. Without the bonus, you will only be making $15,000, so it's essential that you complete the bonus. You can see what you have to do in order to get the bonus if you press right on the D-pad. Now these missions usually take about 5 to 10 minutes, so they are very quick to do, which is the main reason why they are on the list. The cooldown time for them has increased from 20 minutes to 48 minutes, meaning you could only really do one of them every single hour. Even though that's a pretty huge nerf, you can still make $85,000 in 5 minutes, so it still deserves a top 10 spot. Coming in at the number 5 spot is the Nightclub, which is the best passive income business in the entire game. There are 2 different ways to make money with this business, with the first one being through the Nightclub wall save. This is a save that has a set amount of money deposited into it every in-game day or 48 minutes IRL, depending on how popular your nightclub is. There are a few different ways to increase the popularity of the nightclub, but the 2 best are to throw out disturbances in the nightclub, which will pop up as a blue dot on your minimap, and the second way is to change DJs. When you change the DJ of your nightclub, your popularity will increase, so that's the first way to make money. The second way to make money is a little bit more complicated, but it is the bread and butter of this business, and that is through the warehouse. The warehouse is a section where you are able to hire and assign technicians to source product. When they source that product, it will then build up in the warehouse, and whenever you want, you can sell that product for a profit. Now in order to make the most amount of money with it, you will want to of course hire all 5 technicians, which will cost a decent amount of money, and you will want to assign them to 5 specific types of product. But there's one catch for the warehouse, and that is if you want to assign a technician to source a specific kind of product, you will need to own a corresponding business in the game. So with that being said, here are the 5 types of products that make you the most amount of money and the corresponding business you will need to own. First, assign a technician to cargo and shipments. You will need a CEO hangar or a cargo crate warehouse in order to do so. Next, assign one to sporting goods, which you will need a bunker for. Third is South American imports, which will need a Coca-Cola lockup. Fourth being pharmaceutical research, which you will need a blue stuff lab for, and fifth is cash creation, which you will need a counterfeit cash factory for. If you assign a technician to each one of those products and make sure that you have the equipment upgrade, you will earn about $50,000 total in warehouse stock each hour. Now the best part of the warehouse is that once you have done that and set it up, you don't have to do anything else except for the final sell mission whenever you decide to sell. Because all you have to do once you assign those technicians to those products is to just be in a session. So if you combine those 2 sections of the nightclub, you will be making $100,000 in almost completely passive income every single hour, which is the main reason why it's number 5 on the list. But the only reason why it's not higher is because in order to run the warehouse side of the business, you need to own 5 other separate businesses, which will end up costing you close to $10 million. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have the auto shop contracts. Of course you will need an auto shop to do them, so the contracts are essentially mini heists with 2 setup missions and a finale. Now there are 8 different types of contracts you can do and they each take about 20 to 30 minutes to complete as a solo player, but there's one that's considerably better than the rest, and that is the Union Depository contract, because it pays out $300,000 while the rest pay out between 150 to 200 grand. Now each of these contracts have about a 48 minute to 1 hour cooldown, so you can't just do the Union Depository contract back to back to back, but if you were to do the Union Depository contract and 1 or 2 others in an hour, you could be making $500,000 to $600,000. So with that being said, that is why they are in the number 4 spot, because they pay out a great amount of money and I think they are pretty fun to play. Coming in at the 3rd place we have the Hangar business. This one may shock some of you, but after the most recent buff and update you can now make about $400,000 to $500,000 per hour as a solo player with the Hangar. Now the way this business works is very simple. You go out to source crates, you bring them back to the warehouse and then you are able to sell those crates for a profit. Each source mission will give 1 crate and there's a maximum capacity of 50 crates in the Hangar. Now what's made the business so good recently is the fact that they have added land source and sell missions, which are faster and easier than the air missions, especially if you have an aerial vehicle. I recommend using the new Jet, Oppressor Mark II or the Buzzard. Most source missions can be done in 3 to 5 minutes. Cell missions can now be done completely solo because you're only ever gonna get 1 cell vehicle. Now when it comes down to how much money you can actually make, each crate at minimum can be sold for $30,000, but depending on how many crates of each type of product you have, you can actually earn a percentage bonus on the sale. As you can see here, there's a tiered system depending on how many crates you have of a certain type of cargo. Now the best bonus you could get is a 70% bonus for selling either 50 crates of medical supplies, chemicals or narcotics, but there's a better way to run a business so that you can make that $500,000 per hour. So to be as efficient as possible, you will want to choose to source 2 of the highest paying types of goods, which are chemicals, medical supplies and narcotics. It doesn't matter which 2 of the 3 you choose, but pick 2 and alternate between sourcing 1 of each crate. If you do that, after 4 hours you have 25 crates of each. Once that's done, you can then do an individual cell mission for each, and you could do those cell missions in public lobbies with 25 or more players to take up those sales to $1.5 million each. Those cell missions can be completed in about 5 minutes. Combined, you will make about $3 million for just over 4 hours of work, meaning that you are making about $750,000 per hour as a solo player, which is why it's the number 3 money method on the list. Coming in at the 2nd place, we once again have the agency, specifically the Dr. Dre contract, which can be accessed by having an agency and completing 1 security contract. The Dr. Dre contract acts like a massive heist where you have 3 mini heists and then 2 finale missions, with the payout being $1 million. At the end of it all, you will end up making about $1.1 to $1.2 million for all the setups plus the finale, and it will only take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete, meaning that you are making about $650,000 every hour, and that there is why it's number 2 on the list. Now I know it makes a little bit less per hour than the Hangar, but doing the contract is more enjoyable to grind through, plus because you have to get the agency in order to do it, it also means that you will have access to doing things like the security contracts, passive income through the wall safe and Payphone Hits. With that being said, coming in at the number 1 spot for the 10 best ways to make money as a solo player is of course the Cayo Perico heist, which is by far the best way to make money for any player in the entire game. Now of course you will first need to have a Kasatka submarine to access it, but once you have done that you can then start up the heist. What the heist is in essence is you are sneaking onto a private island, taking loot from all around it before going to a central compound where you take a very valuable primary target. They will need to try to take off unnoticed. It is a lot of fun and there's a bunch of different ways that you can approach it. I didn't do it sneaky at all, I just went in shooting and hoped for the best. There are definitely better ways to complete it, but the most important part of it is of course the payout. You will be making anywhere between $1.3 to $1.6 or $1.7 million for each time that you do it. These are the best primary targets that you can get. I was pretty lucky and got the pink diamond. That's actually the best one that you can get all year. That's because the Panther statue is not available all year. It's a limited time primary target. You will get more money if you complete hard mode. To do the Cayo Perico heist in hard mode, you need to set up the heist within 48 minutes in real time after receiving the message from Pavel. Doing so will transition the heist from normal normal mode to hard mode. If you also complete the Elite challenge, you will get another $100,000. To complete the Elite challenge, you will need to finish the finale under 15 minutes and make sure that you don't quick restart. So you have to complete it in one go. For people who have done the heist a lot, it should only take about 45 to 55 minutes to complete, but for first timers it could take up to an hour and a half. Either way, you're still making tons of money for the amount of time you've put in, and that is why it's number 1 on the list. It's now up to you and choose which methods you think are the best to do. I hope that this list helped you out. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section and I will catch you in the next one. Bye bye.